Facebook family. Today's topic is the dreaded B word, boundaries, which honestly shouldn't be so very scary. I think we tend to be afraid of the word boundaries because one, it can feel very legalistic, rigid. Two, maybe we are people pleasers at heart, and so saying no is very difficult because we're afraid of disappointment, afraid of rejection. Maybe we've grown up in a culture where it's important to be very inclusive all of the time. There is a large myriad of reasons, hi guys, why we may not like the word boundaries. So I'm going to share with you, I think, one of the most powerful stories about setting of boundaries that can help us reframe and create a new understanding of why boundaries are so beautiful and blessed and important, and how we can begin to have pivotal conversations amongst ourselves and even our kids. I'm going to be speaking today in terms of even hard conversations to have with our children about boundaries in terms of their heart, soul, mind, spirit, their bodies. And so just a really frank conversation, because I think sometimes we are afraid of having these conversations and don't know how to do them well. So, the story. This story is not my story. This story is one that I am going to borrow from an author, speaker, activist, daughter of God who I love very much. And someday, maybe, God willing, I will get to meet her. Her name is Glennon Doyle. Here's her story. The story is this. Glennon one day went with her son Chase to the zoo. You know, at this time, Chase was probably about 10 years old. And like every little boy that I know, Chase was drawn to the big, vicious cats at the zoo. And so they arrived at the zoo, and not only did they want to see the big lions and tigers and leopards and cheetahs, they wanted to see them while they were being fed in all of their crazy fervor and power. So, this specific zoo was known worldwide for having the most phenomenal exhibit for white Siberian tigers. So they came at just the right time to watch the trainers and the zookeepers feeding these cats. And what they saw was the big claws and the big teeth. And standing no more than 4 feet away from these animals, it suddenly dawned on Glennon, this is an odd situation, that I am standing here beside my son, my biggest treasure, and we are no more than 4 feet away, and I feel the absence of fear. In fact, we are both completely enthralled and taken in by the sheer majesty of these creatures that could surely maul us and kill us in like a second. And she thought to herself, why is it that I feel no fear? And of course, the answer was obvious, because these creatures were separated from her by steel bars. So they could marvel, they could lean in, they could watch, they could take it all without fear. And she didn't have to worry about the cats attacking her son. Now, in this day and age, in my specific community, there are a lot, myself included, of parents who are hyper vigilant to wild cats, dangers attacking our children. This pervasive sense of who can I trust? Who do I not trust? Everything feels scary. Everyone seems to have darkness behind their eyes. And how do I keep my child safe? You guys, it starts here. And let me say, for all of the families who are in a very tender place right now, because maybe there has been intense disclosure of personal hurting, this is meant to be support to you and encouragement to you and to the whole community. This isn't shaming. This isn't blaming. This is a community, a collective community coming together to learn how to start having some conversations. And this is just my fingerprint in the scope of a massive, massive hurt. Okay? Now, my personal belief is this: where this starts is early and often we develop conversation that honors our children's internal sense of knowing when something isn't right, when something is off. I know that there is this sense that feelings are all bad and they can't be trusted. But hear me when I say that God has given each of us a sense of intuition. It's a form of our internal subconscious awareness. It's actually not just a feeling, it's a thought process. It's a sorting of our lower limbic system, sorting through information from our environments below our level of consciousness that sends a message to the brain and the body that says something doesn't add up here. This is not okay. This is uncomfortable. It's about noticing with them when you sense discomfort in them. You know, way back when I was a little girl, there was like a great aunt. I barely ever saw her. She wasn't scary in any way, shape, or form, but she loved to pull me tight and kiss my cheeks. And I didn't know her, and that felt really awkward and uncomfortable. And nobody ever said anything about it, but the general vibe was that was awkward and uncomfortable. If I had a do-over, I would like to have a conversation with people, the people around me, my big people, right? To notice, oh, does that makes you feel uncomfortable when she does that, doesn't that? And then have them step in to, just say, hey, why don't we give a handshake, right? Which may feel awkward or uncomfortable or even rude, but it protects a child's sense of felt safety, right? It's okay as parent to do that, to notice even when you notice that maybe there's something that feels a little off. And that doesn't mean that the person is like dangerous. It just means we want to develop a sense of internal honoring within our child that we honor. And of course, if they come to us and they share something about, I really don't feel comfortable with this person, or I really don't want to go because I don't like that. Well, lean in and allow them to share. Ask them, I wonder what that's about. Can you share with me a little bit more about what makes you feel uncomfortable or what you don't like about that? Honor it even if they don't have words for it. It's okay. Now, what else can we do as parents? This is where we get practical and actual. One of the areas that we can help our kids create boundaries is, yes, we're going to talk about body awareness and safety. I want you to hear me that this conversation is not a one-time only conversation. In fact, this is a conversation that should happen regularly throughout their developmental process. Let me explain. There are given ways that we can have this conversation with our children. Every time from the time they're tiny, they go to their doctor for a well child visit, right? Like once a year. That's a perfect opportunity for us to be having a conversation with our kids. It doesn't have to be scary. We don't have to make it overly intense. It's just a factual review, right? So like before they see the doctor, we can say, okay, we're going to go to the doctor, and the doctor's job is to make sure that your body is healthy. So the doctor's going to do some things. They're going to look at some parts of your body that most people besides mom or dad or people that only have the ability to make sure that your body is clean and healthy are going to be looking at your body. The doctor is one of those people that is important that they are able to check out areas of your body, especially the areas that usually remain hidden, that would be under your swimsuit, right? Well, they're going to look for only the purpose of making sure that your body is clean and healthy. And then, once that is done and they go to the doctor, and the doctor usually will say, okay, Mom, do I have permission to check out your son or daughter because I want to make sure that they're healthy? Mom gives permission for the doctor to do so, right? In the child's hearing, knowing, seeing. Sends a very clear message that this is okay, this is safe. Well, then after the doctor's visit, maybe in the car, because there are some really pivotal, great conversations with kids and parents that happen in the car, you can follow up to say, okay, so the doctor did that because that's her job, to make sure that you're healthy. Now, I want to share with you a little bit more about our bodies. Bodies are wonderful. God made our bodies. There is no part of your body that is bad, dirty, or yucky, right? Your body was made perfectly to do all sorts of things throughout your entire life, and that is wonderful. But let's talk about, because your body is a gift to you, you have, as a child, the responsibility, as well as with your mom and your dad, to make sure that that gift is well cared for. Just like if I gave you a super important present, I would like for you to take good care of it. Well, your body is your gift. We get to take care of it. And that means that we have to make sure that others are careful with respecting your body. So that means that it is okay. In fact, it is more than okay. If anyone does anything to your body, whether touches your body, asks to see certain parts of your body, asks you to touch or see parts of their body, asks you to look at pictures of other people's parts of their bodies, and it makes you just think, oh, I don't know that my mom would be okay with this or my dad would be okay with this. It is okay for you to say no, and to get away. If somebody tells you that if you tell another person that they might go to jail, or something bad will happen to you as the child, or something bad will happen to your parents, you absolutely need to tell, and you will not get in trouble. If anybody tries to tell you that there are secrets that are to be kept about bodies, your body, their body, somebody else's body, secrets have nothing to do with bodies. If anybody uses the word secret about bodies, you need to tell. You need to tell, because that is not okay. We need to have these conversations. Also, this leads into, if we believe truly that bodies are not dirty, they're not bad, they're not gross, they're not yucky, and there's no part of our body that is yucky, bad, or gross, we as parents have to give the dialogue, we have to give the language of body acceptance early and often from a young age. This means it is okay and necessary for us to talk about bodies in terms of their actual names and parts. There's nothing dirty about a body part's name. There's nothing dirty about it. So this means even if parents, and I know this sounds funny or awkward, that maybe you need to practice saying certain words in front of the mirror for them to become destigmatized for you, that you should do that. Yes, kids need to know that they have penises and vaginas, that they have breasts, that they have buttocks and parts of their body. These are not scary, ugly, yucky words. Why is that important? Because God forbid something should happen to your child. You want them to be able to actually use the correct name so you know exactly what part of their body was touched. And it removes the stigma of shame from the body part. Shame coupled with body equals secrecy, and we have no room for it. We have no room for it. So what do you do if your child is now like 14 years old and you haven't had these conversations? Well, the good news is the schools are having these conversations. The bad news is it's not our job to just say, well, the school took care of that. No. We as parents still have the responsibility to be talking about bodies, about human sexuality, about what it means to be a developing young person in a developing young person's body, and to make it destigmatized. Again, not bad. This is normal and natural. This is what happens. And it is a beautiful thing. It is a gift from God, this honoring of our bodies. Yesterday, I posted some cards. There's some cards for different ages of development that you can purchase online that give really great conversation starters about this area of the world. Everything from what would you do if a friend, did something that made you feel uncomfortable or told you to tell a lie to cover for them. What would you do? Cards that talk about what would happen if somebody that you care about touched your body inappropriately. There's a whole host of discussion starters for all different ages, from preschool all the way up through high school. If you don't know and you're like, I don't know how to start, this would be a great thing. Even on the website, it shows how you can incorporate the cards into a game, or even just get them within your head so that you can introduce them during times of conversation. The idea is not to bombard your child, but it's meant to give them the opportunity. It's meant to help them understand this is not a bad conversation. It's not weird. It's normal. It's a part of embracing the you and taking care of you. It's helping them know this is a boundary that they can set up. Does this mean that everyone is a Siberian white tiger? No. In fact, most people aren't. Most situations aren't. But we need to give them permission to be able to set appropriate boundaries and bars. And we do that through our modeling, our conversation. So I welcome any questions, any dialogue. I certainly am not the be-all and end-all of this conversation. There's excellent books that you can purchase to help you further these conversations. But what I would invite you to do is, if you purchase a book, don't just give the book to your child and say, there, I've done my job. No. This has to be conversation. This invites further future conversation, you see, which is exactly what we want. We want them to know that you are safe to talk to, no matter what, no matter what. So again, I welcome conversation, I welcome private messages, I welcome comments. If you feel like this is worthy or worthwhile, please feel free to share it. I know it's it's about a hard conversation, but it is so, so important. So anyway, that's the word for a Wednesday. Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.